All right, welcome to the weekend video. This is Enda here, and you know the drill. We're going to go through the markets and see where we stand after, well, not a full week yet. It's Friday morning on Friday the 18th of June, and it's been an interesting week as usual. This one particularly, and I'll get into that later. But thanks for joining me, and let's just get into it. Stop waffling. Well, I just have some more coffee. I need some coffee to get me going in the morning. All right, here we are. It's euro dollar. This is the 4-hour chart. If you've been following the videos, you know that I'm tracking a possible triangle in a very large B wave. And you know that we're already on wave D of that B wave. Now, I had been expecting wave C to come in earlier. So wave D is 3 waves down, so A, B, and C. I had been expecting this wave C to come for a while, and finally, thank God, it seems that we have started that this week. So here's the 4-hour chart. You can see 3 waves down in A, most likely 3 waves up in B, and then hopefully we're moving towards a 5-wave pattern lower in wave C. This week's acceleration lower shouldn't be complete just yet. If we're moving into a third of a third, or if we are in a third of a third, which it looks like anyway, I think it's quite likely that we continue to step lower later this week and next week. And in terms of let's say the target for wave C, ideally I would like it to fall down towards the 112 area, but minimum target would be probably just around that lower trend channel line there. So somewhere about 116 to complete wave C. But I think, if I'm honest, I would like it to fall down towards 112, and that kind of gives us about, if I go to the larger chart, that 112 area kind of comes in around a central kind of pivot line that we've been oscillating. It calls it an oscillation level, where this triangle has been kind of swinging back and forth over the last couple of years. Anyway, so let's get to the hourly chart here. This is euro dollar hourly. You can see last night's chart was updated. It looks like we came upon wave 3 of wave 3 of 3 of 3 this week. That's good coffee. So a triple 3. I don't think we're done yet. I think the third wave should continue for the next few days. Looks like we're kind of consolidating this morning. We might be putting in some sort of 4th wave correction higher today before falling again in wave 5 of 3 of 3. So, like I said earlier, we should continue to see steps down to create a larger 5-wave pattern in wave C. And you can see here the labels in green is the main wave count for wave C. So we've got wave 1, 2, and then wave 3 in green should trace out 5 waves. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So we should fall down probably towards at least 117, as maybe into the 117 handle as wave 3 completes. And then we correct higher again, and then we drop again in wave 5. Anyway, suffice to say, I think a third wave of wave C is underway, and we should continue lower next week. And I think these previous support levels should now begin to offer any serious resistance to any sort of rally back above them again. That's the base case scenario. We'll see how it goes day by day next week. Okay, move on. This is pound dollar. Same but different. Let's say we have an acceleration lower, a pretty reasonable pattern so far. We have a previous 4th wave. That'll be the main support for this the price at the moment. So if we break down through that 137 support level, then I think overall we'll move towards a pretty bearish outlook on pound dollar for a decline in a fifth wave, and that should take a good while. Okay, so let's get into the hourly chart here. You can see here's the scenario is a 1, 2, and this was a running flat wave 2, and then we have another 1 running flat wave 2 scenario in wave 2, and then this week we just exploded lower in wave 3, and so far this morning not a whole lot happening in terms of a bounce off the low. Overnight trade was lower again, so it's possible that we are still tracing out wave 3 of 3. Maybe we'll get a bounce before the end of the day, before the end of the US session tonight in wave 4. Again, same scenario same scenario applies here. I would like to see a break of this previous support here is wave 2, so that comes in about 138. So I'd like to see a break 138 as wave 3 completes, and I'd like to see these previous lows, these previous spike lows here as resistance now. So we are kind of seeing a change of guard here in terms of the pattern. We have head and shoulders in place, and we should be moving down the other side. And in general, I think this should develop into a pretty bullish season for the dollar. Okay, so let's move on. Dollar yen. We've had this kind of languishing pattern to the upside over the last couple of months. And in general, that's been pretty well accepted by me as a series of 1-2 patterns to the upside. Last week we had this pretty clear expanded flat wave 2, and we're expecting a rally up into wave 3. We've got a rally, but I have to say that the pattern that has developed overnight last night, well, probably yesterday as well, and overnight last night, is a little bit concerning, but I'll get into that in a second. We do seem to still have this 1-2, 1-2 pattern in place. So the question is, are we beginning a third wave up here? The Atlantic pairs would suggest that we are, and we should see that. But we might be developing some sort of a lower degree second wave correction again. So moving here to the hourly count, you can see that we've got that 1-2 pattern, and then wave 1, 5 waves up, and ABC expanded flat wave 2, pretty straightforward. We kept the rising trend line more or less over the last month or a couple of months. This nice rising trend line has held the price, and we've basically stepped higher to a series of higher lows and pretty bullish higher lows. Now, then came yesterday, and we declined pretty impulsively looking, actually. You could probably trace out 5 waves down there. It's hard to know whether this is a continuation of a third wave up, or if this is all of wave 1 and we are expecting a larger wave 2 again. So, there's every chance that this is wave 1, and that's what I was working with before. And then we get some sort of a larger correction, again, keeping this rising trend line here again. I'm just going to have to hold my tongue on that one, because it's a difficult one to kind of peel apart, to be honest. If I was to label this internal pattern here, you might be looking at a 1, 2, and then some sort of a third wave up here, probably to that shoulder, a fourth wave correction, most likely, and then wave 5 here. If that's the case, then this spike high here has to be ruled out as a B wave within this correction here. So we've got wave 1, 2, wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and even that doesn't particularly play quite well. Most likely we would have to move up here. You see what I mean? It's it's difficult, not impossible, but difficult to kind of fit this in. Um, the main difficulty being this kind of either it's a wedge higher, or it's a very large expanded flat or running flat wave 2. I don't know. I don't know what to make of that just yet. It might be safe to hold off next week, early next week, and allow some sort of a larger 3-wave correction or consolidation to take place to complete wave 2 before we run higher in wave 3 of 3. Now, in my defense, or in defense of the bullish case for dollar yen, dollar yen has been moving higher over the last couple of months against over the last, what am I talking about? Over most of this year, actually, apart from a pretty sizable correction in April, March and April. Then dollar yen in general has been moving higher against the trend of both the other major pairs and even the Dixie. So, I'm going to have to cut it some slack here, to be honest. There is also a possibility that we have this alternate count emerging, let's say. Maybe we have a wave 1 and a large wave 2 tracing out here. It's possible. If we start to break any of these internal supports here, I would probably have to revert to that larger corrective scenario for a second wave, and you can see how that would probably play out with a decline back into about 107 again. Okay, so I'll just kind of leave that for the time being. For the moment, still bullish. Maybe we're developing a smaller 3-wave correction here to end the weekend, probably early next week as well. Okay, move on. The stock market has kind of rolled slightly over in a tipsy kind of fashion. It's like a drunk man falling into bed. Not that I'd know anything about that. Not for a long time anyway. It is interesting how we never made a new high in the Dow. That isn't to say that we don't make a new high in the Dow. I can't tell the future, or I wish I could, but I can't. I'll leave that up to God. God is good at dealing with the future. I'm just going to deal with patterns in the present. Okay. Here's the 4-hour count for the Dow. It's an impulse pattern lower because we do have 5 waves down. We have a pretty clear ABC 3-wave pattern higher to a significant, a not insignificant, let's say, lower high. The move this week is welcome. It's not entirely impulsive yet either, so it's kind of on the fence at the moment. I have my dishwasher running behind me here, so forgive me. It's draining at the moment. Maybe you don't even hear it. Okay, move on to the hourly count. If this is a large degree impulse pattern lower, so we have 5 waves down, 3 waves up, lower high, and then we start rolling over again. This drunk man move this week should continue, and we should see a pretty clear 5-wave, 5-3 impulse again to begin a 3rd wave down. So what we should probably see is 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So the kind of the waltz lower should take another while, but I would like to see a conclusive 5-wave pattern lower, and a break of support would be pretty cool as well. 33, 280 lies wave 1, so a break of that level would be welcome, let's say, to say the least. Now, how do I read this decline so far? It's possible we have a 1 down running flat wave 2, and then I'll get this crosshairs out. Wave 1 down, a running flat wave 2 to a lower high, and then a series of steps lower as 1, 2, 1, 2, lower degree 1, 2 patterns, and then we got a pretty reasonable 5-wave pattern over the last couple of days in a 3rd wave pattern. So it'll be a third of a third of a third type of thing. Wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yesterday's spike low seems to have completed that third wave, but that's probably wave 3 within wave 3 here. So it would suggest that we would get a corresponding series of steps to close out a larger 5-wave pattern. So it would be wave 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5 type of thing. It's going to be, if I'm right on this one, it's going to be a pretty frustrating next few days. I would like to see a break of support, and I would like to see a corrective lower high again. But we'll see how that plays out over the coming days. Okay, so at the moment, this week's action was welcome, and we will see how it plays out. I'm going to leave the grand predictions for my nightly musings. So if you're looking for them, get onto the website and join up. Okay, so we've got gold rolling over into a possible C wave. I was writing this morning to an acquaintance on email that I was kind of doubtful, even moving into a doubt phase, let's say earlier on in June there, that we would get this major decline into wave C. But then last week I saw a story on Zero Hedge, and I think I can't remember the exact headline, but you can search it. It was basically talking about an ATM which dispensed gold in Prague, the first of its kind in Europe. And I'm not even sure it wasn't the first of its kind in Europe, but anyway, this gold ATM appeared. It wasn't miraculous or anything, but it was installed, let's say, in Prague. And I read that and I thought, wow, well, that is like, if that's an indication, if you're looking for an indication of a top, that's a pretty clear indication of a top. As I remember back in March, there was Bitcoin ATMs or dispensers or Bitcoin purchasing machines that started appearing all over, major cities. And I thought to myself, well, that is a sign of a top. If anything, if nothing else, that's a sign of a top. And lo and behold, Bitcoin fell 50% over the next couple of months. So the same scenarios kind of popped into my head last week when I read that story. And lo and behold, here we are a week later, and we seem to be moving down into an impulsive decline in wave C. Now, those news stories aside, I am still kind of on the fence as to whether this is a second wave decline alternate count, or if we get the full whole 9 yards down in wave C of 4. I'm still leaning in favor of this, as I mentioned, the whole 9 yard decline, which should break 1670 at a minimum. And I would, even venture a guess that we would decline into about 1600 to complete it. So, well, anyway, somewhere between 17 and 1600. So you could split the difference on that one, call it 1650. The decline that we got this week has been 62% more or less of the recent rallies. So the alternate count would suggest that that's a second wave decline done, and we should move higher impulsively off that. If we don't get this impulsive move higher early next week, if we don't get a nice 5-wave rally, 3-wave decline, higher low, if that doesn't happen, then I think wave C is pretty much secure and will probably fall into 1650 with a minimum target of 1674 to close out wave C and 4. But if we do start seeing those declines down towards this lower trend line here, I think I'll be, probably shouting from the hilltops at that point that it is time for wave 5 to come along. Now that'll take a couple of months to come in as well, but it'll be time to start getting out your pocketbooks for a rally up in wave 5, which I think could go a long way. Okay, so the possibilities here in the short term. I'm still on the 4-hour count. Here's the hourly count. Here's the alternate as well. You can see marked in there in red. We've got wave 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this sharp decline this week is within wave 3 of C. So overall, we should continue lower, and a series of fourth and fifth waves to get us down towards that 1650 target area over the next week or so. Once we start hitting that area, then like I said, I'll start myself. I will start oiling up my my gold money account again and see where we go from there. Okay, outlook still looking for wave C to complete over the next week. So let's move on. Crude oil has put in a reasonable decline this week. We may have finished wave C up of 5. We came up towards that. Let's get to the 4-hour count first. You can see that wave 5 in green in brackets there. That's 5 waves up. That'll close out wave C in red, and that'll close out wave B. And then we should be in for a pretty long decline in wave C in black. So here we've got, within wave 5 in green, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's an expanding wedge. And within wave 5 here, we seem to have a completed 3-wave pattern. So it'll be a series of 3s. We've got A, B, and then an extended C wave. And now we start declining again. We came up towards that upper trend line, and then we started moving lower again. So what's the outlook from here? Well, the possibility is that we have 5 waves down developing. I don't know at what degree yet. We haven't broken any previous support lows. We have a kind of a pivot level here, pivot support at about $66. And we have a lower wave 4 support here at $61. So, it's a long way down before we start breaking any major support. Let's see how the trade plays out over the next couple of days. If we do start taking out these levels, then things will start getting very interesting to the downside in crude oil also. Okay, so let's move on. This is the S&P. I was talking about the rising trend lines within the S&P last night. Even though we did break to a new high and we've fallen off that new high, and still the possibility that's an impulsive decline, but we haven't come anywhere near, let's say, the probability that we have topped. Well, I still think we are most likely topping, but a nice impulsive decline like we had back in May would be more suitable, let's say, here at this point right now. So I would like that to happen. Is that technical enough and professional enough for you? Please turn. The Dow never broke to new highs, so we've got a non-confirmation between the two major indices. We've got a possibility of a 5-wave pattern complete here in wave 5 in green again. And this week we seem to have a rollover taking place. It's at a smaller degree though, so we haven't got anything like the ammunition to work with as we did back in May. So I'm just going to have to wait for this to develop. Go to the hourly count here. You can see that I've got this wedge pattern within wave 5 in gray there. So we've got wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tightening noose around that pattern I was talking about last week. And then this week we seem to have fallen reasonably impulsively. And I am looking for the possibility that we are creating a lower high in wave 2 before declining into a wave 3. And again, we've got this band of support here, a 4th wave and a wave 1 high, pivot low and high at 41.67, 41.83. So that kind of little band of support there has got to break, and I'd like a clean break of that. A nice impulsive move down through that to kind of turn the tables towards a bearish scenario again. We've got the 4th wave low, that's 40.30, so that's a reasonable distance down. So a larger 5-wave decline should take that out. And we'll just see how that goes early next week. And move on to silver. Maybe I'll do Bitcoin then. Here's silver. The bounce off the decline in silver was pretty rapid yesterday. The bounce has been reasonable so far today. I was charting for a bounce in a fourth wave. It looked like we'd kind of put in a nice third wave decline. We've got a bounce, but I don't know whether that will be all of wave 4 or not. We'll just have to see how the pattern develops today. I mean, we most likely would probably see a larger fourth wave, kind of a meandering flat pattern there, maybe, or something over the next couple of days trade before falling into wave 5. I would like to see is that the 4-hour count here in silver. It's a larger C wave that we're tracking here. So that's a wave 1 and 2, and then we're declining in a third wave right now. So we'll see how that develops. It still has to fall, a significant amount ahead of us here, with a minimum target of 2370, but I would expect to fall towards 21 or even hit the 20 handle again before we bottom out in wave 2. Okay, so into the hourly count there. Well, you've seen this already. A series of 1-2s, and that led to an acceleration lower this week. That seems to be a third of a third. But let's continue this 5-wave pattern lower over the next week or so to close out wave C. And again, I am looking towards that $20 level again. So we've come a long way, but we've a long way to go yet as well. So this is Bitcoin. I'm kind of on the stool in Bitcoin really here at the moment. I haven't decided where my chips are in terms of this fourth wave. I mean, we could have a fourth and a fifth wave scenario already done here, and then we're heading into some sort of I think maybe a B wave up, a B wave correction before falling in a C wave. But there is something niggling at my mind that says that we might see one more draft down into wave 5 as an alternate, let's say. In terms of the hourly count, you can see here, I'm sitting on the fence here, to be honest. It's a clear 3-wave pattern higher. I know you can squeeze 5 waves into it, but it's a reasonable 3-wave pattern up so far this week, so that can be easily counted as corrective, and it could well be part of a larger fourth wave, as I've shown here in the alternate count. So it really depends on what happens next week in terms of this these support levels. So 34,500 would mark one, and then the lower little band of support here between 31 and 30, let's say. It's hard to believe that gap here is $1,000. Oh, good Lord. That's bubbles for you. Okay, so do we have a wave 1 or maybe it's a 1-2-1-2 scenario? If we break 34,500 again, I think I would probably switch back to the more bearish alternate here. But we'll see how that goes next week. As always, I'll be updating the charts every night. Okay, let's move on. We have a new high in the Nasdaq. I suppose you could have told me that would happen. I suppose the idea from here would be to see if we roll over again as a laggard, or if we start leading the way, because previously in the previous decline, the Nasdaq led the way down, and then it kind of let's say meandered towards the upside again. So the question is, does this tech bubble continue, and is it able to pull itself up by its own bootstraps, let's say, or eventually it will roll over? There's no doubt about that. It's hard to know whether it'll hold on and let the wider market decide first before everybody throws in the chips, or throws down their chips on the table and leaves, including tech stocks. That'll eventually happen, but it's at the moment I'm in two minds here on the Nasdaq. I'm just going to have to hold out and see what happens in the short term. Possibility of 5 waves up complete, that's for sure. Excuse me. That's for sure. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see how that happens. I think that does it more or less. Thank you for watching this morning. We'll move on with the day, and the US market will open in a few hours' time. I don't even think the pre-market is open over there yet. It's probably about 5:30 in the morning over there in the US. So good morning to you if you're waking up, and I will see you later on tonight when I update the website tonight, the nightly update, and everybody else on YouTube, you know what I always end with, get right with God because this time is coming. I want to bless you tonight. Thanks, or today. Thank you for watching. God bless you all on your day and on your weekend ahead. And, if you haven't already, maybe it's time. Read the screen. Okay. God bless. Good day to you. And Shalom from Ireland. Bye-bye.